Alright, so I'm making this video as a huge Neural DSP fanboy. I own most of their plugins, use a quad Cortex for live gigs, and even make commercial profiles for it. You could totally say I've cut my teeth on the Cortex ecosystem. Why am I starting with this? I think it's important to set the context because this review is going to be pretty critical. It's not that the Nano sounds bad, but I just don't think it's worth buying right now. And here's why. Honestly, I think they rushed the Nano Cortex out the door, and for me it's like those big budget games that are a total mess when they first came out and they have to patch them up later. It's like a guitar cyberpunk. Even though their website shows an iPhone connected to the Nano, my iPhone 15 couldn't connect. I had to borrow a fancy Android phone to get it working, and then I had to update the Cortex before my iPhone could talk to it. And here's another problem. If you're a Mac user, you're pretty much stuck. The Cortex Control app only works with the bigger model, so if your phone gets an update right before a gig and things get messed up, you're screwed. You won't be able to load or organize your tone, so it's not reliable at all. In my opinion, the Nano Cortex sounds great in live performances, just like its bigger brother, but the signal chain is really limited and inflexible. You can't customize it at all. At the start, there's a noise gate, which is great, and a mediocre pitch shifter. Then comes the heart of the sound, the neural capture and cabinet simulation, but in the post section you only get one modulation effect, one reverb and one delay. That's ridiculous. To be clear, I didn't expect a quad Cortex in a small box, and I totally understand limiting the number of blocks, but how can they release a product that's a part of bigger ecosystem and charge a third of the price for a tenth of the features? What I mean is the Nano only has one of 10 delays, one of 11 reverbs and one of 17 modulation that the quad Cortex has. Plus, even though they targeted to bassists and probably acoustic guitarists too, there's no compressor at all, which is a crucial effect for shaping your tone, especially live. What gives? Alright, so in my opinion, the Nano Cortex is actually the king of small amp profilers. That's basically the only reason it's a game changer. It's fast, reliable in that case, and unlike its main competitor, the Tonex, it doesn't need any extra stuff. On the other hand, Tonex is way cheaper, sounds a lot more real, and is just better designed for live use. It got a clear screen, 3 foot switches, and a MIDI port, so you can easily connect it to other gear. If I had to pick a pedalboard brain that just does amps and caps, the Tonex would crush the Nano Cortex without a thought. Okay, you might say that the Nano's effects are better than the IK Multimedia one. Well, yeah, but only if you're not planning to use any external pedals. The lack of effects loops means that the advantage goes away, because if you want to use your own effects after the amp, you have to turn off the built-in ones. In terms of routing in a small package, I think the HX Stomp is king. Another weird thing is the way they handle the 4 presets. The unit remembers where you came from, so if you want to go from 2B to 1A, but you started with 1B, you have to remember to click the switch twice. It's a total mess, and I don't know who's going to remember that in the middle of a gig. In my opinion, simple solutions are the best. For example, 1 click for A, 2 clicks for B, and you're done. The last thing that bugs me in is who this thing is actually for. If you want an all-in-one in small package, you're getting a mediocre live rig, a so-so audio interface with really limited inputs and very few options for creating sounds at home. You'd be better off buying a separate audio interface and a few Neural DSP plugins. So I can only think of two specific groups of people who might want this: amp profiles producers who don't want to pay for the quad Cortex, and second, people who just want a quick and easy way to profile their real amps and don't care about other features. Beginners who want to get into guitar tones without a lot of hassle won't get enough options. People who want to practice with authentic tones without all the bells and whistles can get it for at least 3 times cheaper with the Tonex One. And gigging musicians will get more features and a better sound with the bigger Tonex for less money. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, maybe I'm missing something. Going back to that big budget analogy, I feel like the Nano Cortex was rushed out the door just to grab a piece of the amp modeling market before Tonex and NAMM player leave it in the dust. Even though Neural doesn't have a great track record of keeping their promises, I'm hoping that with the future updates we'll get more effects within the existing blocks. The truth is, we don't need much more to be happy. The effects they already made for the quad are amazing, so just porting them over to the smaller unit would be enough. The same goes for Max support, a more reliable phone app, and so on. It's not completely writing off the Nano. I think it could be worth buying someday, especially if you're a Neural DSP fan like me, but for now it's best to wait and see. I think it will also push the company to work faster and prove that their products are worth the money. In the end, it's a really well built piece of hardware with a sleek design that sounds like its bigger brother. It just needs better software. I'm rooting for you, Neural DSP, but don't do this again. Check out my other videos on the right, subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Grab your guitars!